you're taking for this evening's call. Let me silence everybody so we don't get any feedback, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers later after the call. Jason Whitney here, food scientist specializing in the treatment of metabolic syndrome, which is identified medically as having any two of the following: being overweight, including obesity, having elevated glucose levels, including type 1 or type 2 diabetes, having elevated cholesterol levels, also known as hyperlipidemia, and having elevated blood pressure, also known as hypertension. A new one added to the list is fatty liver disease, non-alcoholic, and any combination of those two, and you have what science and your doctor will say is metabolic syndrome. It's a major deal. Over 80% of Americans have at least one of those symptoms, and it is growing at epidemic levels, and that's why we're here. That's why you're here, is so that we can eradicate, get rid of, abolish all of the symptoms of metabolic syndrome from ourselves, from our family, from our neighbors, and from anybody that is interested. Because according to the CDC, it is directly or indirectly related to 66% of the deaths that occur to each and every American every year. And that's just sad. The reason why it's sad is it just doesn't have to be. It is elective. It's not given to you by genes or by your chromosomes or handed down by mom, dad, grandma, great and great forefathers. It is by the fork and by the spoon. We choose to have these ailments by what we eat. And it's really not by how much we eat. It's not because we're eating too much. It's because we're eating the wrong ratio. And that's really the secret of our program, is it's balancing the right ratio of our macronutrients, changing around how many proteins and fats and carbohydrates we're eating. And then we throw a little extra science in there that has some special effects for longevity, for quality of life, for making us look and act younger than we do. I'm 150 years old and don't look a day over, what, 30, 40, 50. But this is the only place I know of where we actually can physiologically and in real life, not on Star Trek, turn back the hands of time. It's like having your own time machine, because you do actually become younger. We've had many testimonies where people say, I am able to do things I just haven't been able to do in years and years. And so that's why we're here. And hopefully you'll share that message to people that you know so that you don't keep it for yourself. And I mentioned the word testimonies. You hear me talk about them. I want to hear them. You have great news, and I promise you, till the last breath I have, is that your testimony, your experience means more than you think it does. It may be just your experience. You live in your life in this little bubble, and you think that it doesn't have any effect, but I promise you, just like a drop of a stone in a pond, everything you do affects other people. Just like that ripple from that stone dropped in that big drink of water, it ripples out to immeasurable sources. You affect the lives of so many, and you do have the opportunity to affect the lives of hundreds, thousands, and tens of thousands if you'll just share it. So don't be silent. Speaking of testimonies, I got one, and I want to read it if I may. This is a testimony from Audrey Haig, 85 years young. I have experienced digestive issues for the past 10 years. Indigestion, heartburn, acid reflux, and anxiety. Now, I'm going to interrupt. Why did she say anxiety when she said digestive issues? Well, anxiety is definitely a precursor to having digestive issues. Why? Because if we're stressed, if we have anxiety, it is one of the components that will kill digestive flora in your gut, digestive enzymes that are alive and healthy and doing well. Just stress alone will cast a death spell on these enzymes and kill them off. And if they're not there, then our balance of flora, flora is a fancy word for, how well your body culture of enzymes are doing. Those little plants, they're not plants, but since we're talking about culture, these little plants growing in your stomach, waiting to be able to digest the foods that you're eating. Okay, stress will kill them. It's like not shining the sun on your plant for a long enough period of time, and the plant will die because it doesn't get sunlight. And so that's why she puts it on there. When you have digestive enzymes that are dead, your anxiety levels increase because that is one of the things that fights off your natural immunity to stressors. So I continue with Audrey. I have purchased and tried every over-the-counter product available today to no avail. I finally made an appointment with my family doctor, and he prescribed several pharmaceutical drugs. They didn't help either. I still had horrible anxiety and digestive issues from indigestion. My husband and I purchased the phase 1 of the 3Believe program, March 2017. We each took 3 meals, there are 3 replacement meals every day for 8 weeks. We then observed phase 2, so she changed from phase 1 to phase 2, and then changed to phase 3 of the program, and are now observing phase 4, 1 meal replacement day every day. My digestive indigestion problem is over. I'm going to repeat that. My digestive indigestion problem is over. How does she describe what it was? Having indigestion, heartburn, acid reflux, and anxiety. What is acid reflux? It's where your stomach acid actually comes up, back up your esophagus, and it can sit there and burn in your throat and burn all along your esophagus, and even it can get so bad that it actually come up into your mouth. Terrible, terrible. My digestion problems are over. I have not had any digestive disorder for over 30 days. The 3Believe program is truly an answer to my prayer. I will continue to observe the program forever. Audrey J. Haig. Thanks, Audrey. I appreciate that very much. So any of those that have digestive issues, millions and millions of dollars are spent on over-the-counter drugs. Audrey was just talking about it. She's tried them all. One very, very common one is, I won't mention it by name, but Tums comes to mind. And it's an anti-acid. So people think that most indigestion is caused by having too much acid. So it makes sense to have an anti-acid capsule go down and suppress that digestive issue that we have, right? Well, the truth is, if you talk to a digestive specialist, it's that most of the time it's not too much acid. It's actually too little. And so when you take that antacid, you're making your proton pump, that is kind of the regulator of what's going on in your stomach, work overtime to try to recorrect the problem. It just causes havoc because it always comes back. It didn't cure it. It'll suppress it for a little bit, but then your proton pump kicks it into high gear, and now it's even making more of a problem. What do you need? You need more acid. How do you buy more acid? Go to the health food store and get hydrochloric acid, HCI, with pectin. It's simple. As a matter of fact, I have some right here. So those of you that are on the webinar, there, I'll cover up the brand. Doesn't matter what brand it is. Right there. See? You just go there and you go buy the HCl with pepsin. Doesn't have to be with pepsin. It just helps with it helps with digestion a little bit. And this one I chose is a bigger pill. You'll see that's the big, they call it double aught or 00 pill. And one of those. And you'll be fine. You'll be just fine. Also, if you've noticed that you have a problem eating meat or digesting meat, and you're not able to digest it like you used to, you need more acid. Take that HCl and right before your meal, and you'll do just fine. Just fine. Thank you again, Audrey. I want to go over a couple of more things while we're on the topic of remedies and issues. We have here some email questions. One is about the hydrate. And so let me show you again. Now, those of you that are listening, you want to come back and listen to this again. Can I suggest that you go and listen to the webinar? View it rather on the link that you get of the email. It gives you the recording number that you can go and dial in and listen to it. You can send it to a friend, or you can come back and listen to it because they're saved there forever. But you can also click on another link, and then you can, from your computer, and you can watch and see. Now tonight, I apologize because, well, my face is on there. I apologize about that. The protocol works fantastic, but it doesn't make you any more handsome, I've noticed. No, it doesn't make me more handsome. Sorry. But if you come on the webinar, you'll see that I'm going to show a lot of stuff tonight. And visually, it'll help you. So this is a bottle of the hydrate. This is what it looks like. Every starter kit gets one. You get it for free. I give this to you for free in your starter kit. That's how important it is. You should then buy it every month after that. You should be taking it at least one capsule a day. It's cheap, it's inexpensive, and I'm going to talk about why we have it. Now, there's a lot of talk about what causes high blood pressure. And most people would agree that the culprit, if you were in doing a quiz, they'd say that it's caused by too much salt in our diet, too much sodium. They put sodium in everything, for heaven's sakes. Well, why do they do that? They do it because it's a flavor enhancer. It is the cheapest flavor enhancer that a food manufacturer has to deal with to make it taste better. What's the second cheapest food enhancer that we have? Sugar. Those two ingredients are in everything. Now, go ahead and have as much salt as you want. I don't care. It's not going to hurt you, and I'll explain why. Sugar, on the other hand, well, no. You want to find a product that doesn't have any added sugar, and you want to control the amount of sugars that you're having, including carbohydrates, to less than 25% of your entire caloric intake when you're in phase 4. Audrey talked about phase 4. How many shakes of that or of the CMR are you taking a day? One, just one. And then one day a week, you go out and party hardy. Now, when I say party hardy, because I don't actually drink alcohol, when I say party hardy, I'm talking about going to a restaurant and eating everything I want that day. I want pancakes, and I want bacon and eggs and toast, and I want a Reuben for lunch with French fries, and I want for dinner, oh my goodness, I want meatloaf with mashed potatoes and gravy. The truth is that you can do that if you like, but the truth is once you've gone through phase 1 and 2 and 3, you will not be able to eat like that in 3 meals. You just won't. Your body will not accept it anymore, and that's a wonderful thing. That's also a wonderful message, and it's a message that you should listen to. Something your body's telling you, hey, I don't want that kind of food all day long. But you could, because you're not going to undo everything that you had cured or overcome in phase 1 through 3. But after you're done with that treat day, that party day, you go right back onto phase 1 for one day. Phase 1 is 3 shakes a day and 1 of your own meals. Breakfast, lunch, your own meal for dinner, and then 1 more shake before you go to bed. But you only do it for one day. That'll clean out all the naughty stuff you ate on that treat day. Okay? So back to the hydrate. What happens is that sodium is blamed for blood pressure because it can make high blood pressure, hypertension, worse. if you already have what causes high blood pressure, and salt isn't it. Salt didn't cause it. Salt is to blood pressure the same as a gas pedal is to high-speed crashes, meaning the gas pedal in a high-speed crash is definitely involved, but it's not the cause. No one made that person step on the gas that and go that fast. They did it for other reasons. Just like sodium is involved in high blood pressure, but it doesn't cause hypertension. Let me give you an example. What happens is that after you've been on a diet of high carbohydrates, what's high carbohydrates? Anything over 25% of the calories that you're getting a day, if it's over 25%, is higher than you need, higher than you want. I leave mine at about 15%, never more than 15, because I feel better. My body performs better, and so will yours. But don't go over 25. So if you're on a 2,000 calorie a diet day, don't have more than 250 calories from that food. That's a maximum of about 62 grams of carbs. Why? How did I do that math? Well, there's 4 calories in every gram of carbohydrate, and you divide 2,000 calories, or 2,000 calories by 25%, and then you get you divide that by 4 calories. That's 62 grams. So, in other words, when you're in a high carbohydrate diet, it does certain things in your body. You have no choice. It doesn't matter if you're running the marathon. It doesn't matter if you lift lots of weights. It doesn't matter if you're 15 years old or 115 years old. What happens is your body is going to secrete insulin. And the reason why is that's just the chemical reality that happens once that carbohydrate's broken down to a glucose molecule and hits your bloodstream. Your pancreas knows about it, sends out insulin because it knows that your body cannot absorb that glucose without insulin. It just can't do it. The glucose goes knocking on the door to every cell in your body saying, here I am. I'm the energy that you've been wanting. And it can't open up the cell. It just did not have the ability to absorb it without that insulin. Insulin is the key, if you will, to open the door and allow the glucose to come in. Okay? Well, what does change from that 15-year-old to 115-year-old person that's having carbs is how long have you been in a high carbohydrate diet? Have you been it for a month, or have you been it for 10 years, 5 years, 20 years? Well, what's definitely going to happen is there's going to be leftover remains. There's going to be footprints of that previous long-term carbohydrate diet. The longer you're in it, the more the impact and damage that it gives to your cells. Now, I know that there's people out there that says that we gotta have carbohydrates. It's essential for good health. I know that I have people with great big medals, gold medals around their neck that have won athletic events, and they claim the way I did it was because I had lots of energy and I did it with a high carbohydrate diet. And I know that there's some doctors and there's some scientists that have done studies, and they show that having a high carbohydrate diet is better for you. Well, how do I dispute any of that? Well, I do it just by the masses. That's the logic that I use. So if you take the studies that have been done, that have been peer reviewed on carbohydrate high diet versus those that are low or moderate diets, and the ones that are low moderate is much greater. There's many, many more of them. So the study is more conclusive. It is more established. It is more convincing. And you can't deny how you feel. Well, that's something that a study just doesn't argue against. You feel better. So back to the cells. When you are in this high carbohydrate diet, you have high levels of insulin for a long period of time. After a while, your cells become insulin resistant. Now, you've heard that term. You know what that means. Your cells just reject the insulin. Whenever your cell rejects insulin, that also means that it's rejecting the glucose that's partnered right there with that insulin cell. And so if the insulin's not being taken by the cell, that also means the glucose not being absorbed by the cell. So what happens to it? It stays in your bloodstream. And then your glucose levels start to rise higher than they were when the pancreas first secreted the insulin to get it to go down in the first place. So what does the pancreas do? Well, it shakes its head and says, well, if I didn't succeed the first time, I'll try it the second time. So it secretes more insulin to get the job done. And after a period of time, your cells become even more insulin resistant, so your pancreas secretes even more insulin to get that job done. Well, after a while, your pancreas starts to have beta cells, which produces the insulin, start to die because they're getting overworked and tired out. It becomes dysfunctional. It used to, when it was young and healthy, would only put out a certain amount of insulin every time it saw a certain amount of glucose. That ratio is 10 to 1. 10 units of glucose to 1 unit of insulin. And after a while, it will start secreting out 1.5 to 10, and 2.5 to 10, and 5 to 10, and 10 to 10. And that's what we call hyperinsulemia. It becomes overreactive. And after that, it starts to shut down. And that's not good. You start to have a pancreas that dies. And simultaneously, your cells are becoming very insulin resistant. And so you have your glucose levels go up and your insulin levels go up. Now, you're sitting there going, no, wait, Jason, we started this whole conversation talking about high blood pressure and sodium. Where in the world are you going with this? Did you lose track? I didn't. Because insulin is a master hormone. We only have 2 in our bodies. We've learned that you only can have 1 master. Well, our body did not forget about that, so how can we have 2? The same way that we only have 1 master of heavenly bodies at a time. And that is day, it's the sun, and at the night, it's the moon. And they are not shining on us at the same time, except last month we had an eclipse. That's the only time that happens. That doesn't happen in the body. We don't have any body eclipse, okay? So sometimes your body is insulin predominant, where the insulin's the king of the roost, the master, and then you have glucagon, which is the other master hormone. They call them master hormones because they command and have control over every cell in your body. It tells them what to do, and it has influence that changes how that cell reacts. I mean, stay with me. I'm getting close to the high blood pressure and salt part. Well, one of the organs that's going to be affected by this high insulin is your kidneys. And when insulin is predominant, it tells your kidneys, hold on to every trace mineral that retains water. So every time that person, when you urinate, I want you to hold on to all those trace minerals. Well, the trace minerals that are water retentive, meaning it absorbs water like sodium, okay, will hold water in your body. And when it holds water in your body, it means that the rest of your body didn't actually get to use it. So you have water, but it's not a good thing because your body can't use it because the salt is holding on to it. Stingy little rascal, right? And so it doesn't urinate all those trace minerals out. And so your doctor says, look, I got one choice. I got to get this person's blood pressure down. Now, I could do one thing. I could ask them to stop having salt, or I could ask them to change their entire diet and stop having so many carbohydrates. If you had to pick between grandma's homemade rolls and your wife's best mashed potatoes and your favorite recipe of pancakes in the morning, by the way, that's all carbohydrates, right? Or salt, and you had to give up one, which one would you give up? Which one would be easier? Salt every time, right? So the doctors know that. They just know it's an easier path of resistance. They know that you'll say no less often than if he said, well, just you got to cut down on your carbs because that'll stop down on the insulin. And if you don't have insulin predominant, That's not going to tell your kidneys to hold on to all your sodium. Well, you're going to say, Jason, that still doesn't tell me why I have high blood pressure. It tells me why I have extra salt in my body. Well, what happens is because you have all this salt that's not releasing when you urinate, it means you have this extra water. Well, it's not just water, it's also blood. So you have extra blood in your body. More blood than you're designed to hold. And you have a sealed system in your body, meaning your heart pumps and pushes at the same time. And when it has more blood in there than it was designed, it means it has more pressure that it's pushing against and more that it's pulling against. And that increases your blood pressure. So, you want to really get rid of what causes high blood pressure, which isn't salt. You got to reduce the insulin levels and let your body release those salts when you urinate. What does glucagon do by the way? Well, it does the exact opposite in every category. Everything that insulin says to do to every organ in your body, glucagon says to do the opposite. And in the case of your kidneys, it says insulin is no longer in control. I am, and I want you to release all that salt, all that water retentive minerals, and dump it out every time they urinate. And that is why, boys and girls, I want you to take this hydrate, because you're in a ketogenic diet, which is low insulin, which is high glucagon, which is urinating out all your trace minerals and sodium. So you got to have this. Why is salt so important? It is vitally important. When you go into the hospital, what do they, and they stick you, they admit you, and they put you on an IV, what do they put in that bottle? Sodium and potassium. Both of them are water retentive. They didn't ask you if you had high blood pressure. They don't care, because they know that you've got to have lots of salt in there or they got major problems. More than the reason that you went in there in the first place. So if it's so deadly, how come they're giving it to you? So, salt's not a killer. All right? So take it. If you are having high blood pressure and you're on the protocol, most of the time your blood pressure will come back down. It'll regulate. Do not stop taking your blood pressure medication. Follow what your doctor says. And before you make any changes to your prescription or any prescription, talk to your doctor. Tell them what you're doing. Say, hey, I'm on a low insulin, ketogenic diet. And before, I've been told that before I change my prescription of my blood pressure medication, because they tell me that it's likely to go down, I should talk to you. They're going to like that. So talk to them and let them ease you off of it. If your blood pressure does go up a little bit in the beginning of the protocol while I have you taking the sodium, how you can solve that problem is up your potassium a little bit. How much? Take twice as much potassium as you take sodium. It's real easy. Just look on the back side of this label. It tells you how many milligrams of sodium are in here, and you just double that and take that much potassium. Why? Because potassium is an antagonist to sodium, and you'll pee it out when you urinate. So that's why I'm asking you to take the hydrate. If you don't, you'll get dizzy, you'll get fatigued, you'll get tired, you'll get ornery, and your cells won't work right. Your brain won't think right without that sodium, because whether you like it or not, when you're on the protocol and low insulin, it is dumping out those salts every time you urinate. And I know that you're urinating on this protocol. Some of you complain that you're urinating too much. By the way, if some of you have like a meeting or you're going to bed and you don't like getting up in the middle of the night, that's a great time to take this before a meeting or before you go to bed. Take this, and it'll act as a temporary suppressor. It's like a reprieve for urinating. It'll either eliminate or reduce you getting up in the middle of the night. You'll still do it in the morning. You'll dump out the rest of the salts, but it just gives you a little bit of a break. Some of you, in fact, most of you, if you take this hydrate capsule on an empty stomach, those men in the crowd that remember 2-a-days in football practice, track, 2, soccer, rugby, they'd have you take salt pills. If you took it on an empty stomach, you'd get nauseated and throw up. It's awful. Don't take it on an empty stomach. Take it about 15-20 minutes after you've had a meal. So wait about 20 minutes and take it, and you'll be fine. Okay? So hopefully that answers all the questions about the hydrate. Now I have another question, which I'm going to show our screen. This here is something you get in your starter kit. This is a bio kit. All right. So we're going to take this out of the bag, and we're going to go through the bio kit because we have a question: is why do we have a bio kit? What in the world is it for? And why does Jason make me get it? Well, I only make you get it if you're going to start a business. If you want to be a sales rep and you want me to pay you money for talking about it and building your business, then I want you to do it in a responsible way. And I'll talk about that after I go through this little packet. Okay? So this is what you get. You get just a little capsule here. All right? This is where you put your blood. You just open that up and put that inside there. You get your little envelope. All right? That's what this is. All right? And then you have your little form that you date and sign. All right? And then you have a Band-Aid. You have a little gauze. You got something to sterilize your finger. And then you got your lancet that pokes your finger. All right? Now we have a video that you can go to, and it'll show you how to use this in detail. So I won't go through the detail, but what you do is you follow the instructions, and you put your blood in this little vial, and then you close it up, right? And you fill out this form, and you tear off this little barcode. It's a sticky. You peel it off, and you stick it. Don't forget to stick it right on this little capsule. If you don't do that, and this capsule gets separated from this piece of paper that you separate, one for you, one for the envelope, they won't know who it goes to, right? They won't know who your sample goes to. So put that little barcode sticker on there, and you take that, you take the white copy, and you shove it inside this envelope. All right? Now, this envelope is plastic. Do not put this in your own papered envelope. It's going to rip and tear, and your blood sample is going to get lost. You're going to have to do it all over again. I don't want you to pay the extra money. So don't use your own envelope. Use this one. It just opens up really nice, and you just put it inside there. Okay? Right? It has a little pull tab for a self-adhesive stick. Now, I want to tell you a little trick. It will only cost you 49 cents to mail this. Remember to put the address, write the address on it. And then when you fold it, I want you to look at this again, I'm telling you to watch the video. There's this little gray portion, the dark gray portion. When you put it in there, I want you to not seal it yet. I want you to fold the envelope up to this gray portion like this. So I'm taking the envelope and I'm folding it up like that. See right on that line? And then you peel the strip off, and then you seal your envelope. If you do that, now it's the size of a normal envelope, and it'll cost you 49 cents. If you do more than that, you make the envelope bigger, right? You don't fold it over, then they'll charge you $1.75. I know, it's the post office, okay? So fold it that way. The reason why I want you to have the bio kit, what else is in the bio kit? Well, you've got this, you'll get this box right here, upside down. Inside that box is this cool scale, all right? Not just in any scale. It is, this particular one's the Yumni. This is the one that is communicates wirelessly to your smartphone and uploads all your data, which is cool. It tells you your body fat and your hydration, and it tells you your weight, and it tells you your muscle mass, it tells you your visceral fat, and those are numbers I want you to keep track of. And the reason why, and we also have a tape measure, right? Do I have a tape measure handy? That'll measure your inches that you lost. Okay, that's in your bio kit. Well, Every other diet in the country, in the world, in fact, they just say it works. Well, when we're talking about our diet, we're not a weight loss company. It's just one of the many things, one of the many benefits that comes by being healthy. We're a wellness program that overcomes the symptoms of metabolic syndrome. So it's not just weight, it's a fatty liver. It's low energy. It's cognitive thinking. It's in the case of Audrey, it is acid reflux. It's digestive disorders. It's muscle mass growth. It's blood cholesterol, blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes, and eyesight. It is so many things. But unless we can measure them, we're not credible. If you want to start a business, what made a difference for us when we sold it to doctors and clinics, what made a difference is we came in with measurable devices for the physicians so that not only can the doctor measure the progress, but so can the patient. When we did that, versus when we first started, we didn't have those measurable devices, the referrals for the doctor quadrupled. It increased by fourfold. Because when the people talk to their friends, this is how the dialogue goes. What are you doing? I see you have no shakes. And I've seen that you've lost some weight. Well, I'm doing this diet. Well, how much weight have you lost? I don't know, 15, 20 pounds on my scale. I read that whenever people go on these diets, it's just water weight. And you say, it's not. And your friend says, well, how do you know? Because my doctor said, and I believe everything my doctor says. But you can't prove it. You can't establish it. This machine will show. And your answer now is, because the equipment tells me so. My program measures all this stuff. I have it recorded. It shows me my progress. And they'll come back and they say, well, I know that most diets lose muscle mass. And they're right. How can you establish and show them and also appease yourself that you haven't lost it if you don't have it measured? We don't want to be like everyone else that just talks. Sometimes those talks are half-truths or just out and out falsehoods. And we don't want to be part of that group. We want to be able to have credible, identifiable, measurable results. And I want you, when you speak to your friends and family, to be able to do it. In your heart, you know that it's the truth because you can see the results in bona fide. In fact, one of the testimonies that I had received was from a gentleman, and he didn't say this, but I'm just going to assume that he thought that he complained about being forced to get the bio kit. He didn't say that, but because of his response, I surmise that could have been a possibility, because he said, I am so grateful that you insisted on us getting the bio kits, because I can know for a fact that this is making my body healthier. I can tell my friends and family with certainty that it is working for me. That is valuable, something that no one else has, any other diet or wellness program has. How many wellness programs have you heard that says, yeah, I know how well it's doing for my blood pressure? That can be done anywhere in the world. None. You've got that. Just you. So that's the reason why we have the bio kit. Now, some of you say, but Jason, you're making me spend $95 to start my business. Yeah, it's a small price to pay. But I sweeten the deal saying all you have to do is enroll 3 people in the first 30 days that you start, and I will give you a $95 credit of any of the products that you buy on any of the smart food products that you buy on the site. That's a pretty good deal. I'm paying you to have a credible business. So that's why we have the bio kit. It's great, great data to have. Did I cover everything? I think I got, did I miss anything on the kit? Okay. We have some questions. This is the next demonstration about our capsules, our 3B capsules. Now, on the website, they're known as Trio Trim. That name should be changing to the 3B capsules. And what they are is that the formula won't change at all. It's that on occasion, you will be out at a restaurant or a family's house, and you don't want to eat all the carbs and fats that's in the food, but you got to eat something. You don't want to be rude, or you're hungry and you want to feed yourself, but you don't have a shake with you. Well, you can take those, and it will block most of the carbohydrates from being digested and potentially all of the fats that you're eating. It's the same product that I put in the Smart Foods to make them low carb and fat free. It's just in capsule form, so it's convenient. So that's what those are for. They are not going to give you health. There's no other nutrients in it. It's not designed to replace the shakes and the oil by any means. It just helps you. It's a seatbelt in your wellness program for when you want to control the amount of carbohydrates and diets that you're eating. Okay, that's what it's for. How do you use it? You take it about 20 minutes before your meal. If you forget to take it, go ahead and take it anyway, right? The 20 minutes is how long it takes for your stomach to break down the capsule so that the ingredients are released, okay? And to get it into your bloodstream a little bit. If you forget, just crack it with your tooth when you bite or when you put it in your mouth. Just bite down on it and then drink it with water. It doesn't taste real great, but it's not horrible. And then you'll be fine. Okay. How many do you take? Well, it depends on how much fat your food that you're going to eat contains. If you look right on there, I'll tell you how many grams of fat each capsule will block. The carbohydrate inhibitor, you only need to take 2. And so 2 for carbohydrates, and then you measure the amount of fat that you have to determine how many capsules for fat consideration. Okay? And that's what the 3Believe, now on the side it says Trio Trim, is for and how it works. I wanted to just go over something before we end. There's a site on the internet, so I'm going to be looking off screen here a little bit, and I want to go over something. Did you know how many Google searches? This site is actually telling me in real time how many people are going and doing searches on through Google. Now there's other search engines, right? Google's just one of them. So this is just measuring Google's. There's 4.5 billion searches done just today on the internet. What are they searching for? Well, I don't know. It didn't tell me that. But we can be logical. I'll tell you a little bit that I do know. 54% of those 4.5 billion people that are searching are currently on a diet. That's the statistics. 54 so more than 2.5 billion of those searches done were by people on a diet. So I imagine that's a good number of them were doing something about diets. Now the diet can be weight loss, it can be wellness programs, it can be a number of things. Let me tell you something else. Of all bicycles made today or this year is 105 million. Computers made is 140 million. But it is dwarfed by just today. Let me do it by so far this year. 1.5 billion cell phones were sold, more than 10 times the number of computers. What does that tell you? People are going to the internet on their phone more than they are on their computer. So I encourage you, if you do not have a Facebook page, go get one. Reconnect with some of your friends and family. Get on a Facebook page. One, as we roll out our marketing campaign, we're going to help you set up some Facebook pages, but set it up on your personal page. Don't set up a business page. Just set up a personal page. Start connecting with your friends And the average number of friends on Facebook is 340 friends. So you got a little bit of work to do, but it grows quickly. All right. There were 550 million tweets today. That's on Twitter. You could set that up. You could set up some of the other social media pages. All right. The reason why I'm telling you this is if you have a home-based business like 3Believe, you need to be part of the social forum. And don't get glassy-eyed for me. I just want you to go get a Facebook page. That's a great place to start, and we can talk about more in a second. This page also tells me how many people in the world are undernourished. They're not getting enough nutrients. It's 732 million. And it's decreasing. The clock is ticking down. Do you know how many people are overweight in the world? More than twice as many. There are more people that are overweight than there are undernourished. There are nearly as many people that are obese as there are people undernourished. We are fatter than we are too skinny in this world. That's sad. Just today, this is why you need to be exposed to a little bit on the social media. Don't worry, we're going to help you with some of that, but you got to go set up a page. Is that $156 million was spent today just alone on weight loss. Just today. 433 million spent on obesity because it's costly, it's expensive. That's where you can be. I'm not even talking about some of the other things. That's just in that two categories. Please set up set up your Facebook page. In the meantime, will you please go on Facebook and look up 3Believe. 3 the number, Believe, no space, and like our page. Become part of our family. You'll see our posts and what we're doing. It'll start to get you aware of the program that we're going to roll out for you that you can become a part of and get some of this action of all that's going on. If someone's buying this stuff online, most of it is done online. Most of these purchases that I told you about is done online. That $450 million in one day. Why can't that be you? So get yourself ready. Get started on it. And go like our page. And then you'll have a better sense of what we're doing and we can help you more. So I think I've covered a lot of stuff here. Let me turn on the microphone and open it up for some questions. Merv, are you out there?
We're here.
You're here? Okay. Good.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good. So are there any questions on anything we talked about or some other questions of any of the people out there?
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Jason.
Yes, ma'am.
Tatiana Dubai Spot, I have a question. So, you are awesome. You're absolutely amazing. And you are a very good motivation speaker. So, when listen you know, what about if the people for real stop eating other food? Just basically maybe eat 1 apple a day, on top of that shake some new food and nothing else. Do you think they can live happy, healthy life 10 years from now if they just plan to eat only you food? That's what I'm planning to do, just eat you food. And maybe eat 1 apple a day after that. 1 apple a day, keep doctor away, right? So eat you food plus apple and maybe a little bit, maybe salad, and that's it. So, okay, maybe sometimes soup or tea, whatever. So, but we can live a good life.
Okay, let me repeat the question, make sure I got it right. So, if someone was to have our shakes and eat our foods, and then if they ate maybe an apple or some sauerkraut or cheese or other foods like that, would they have a healthy life for the remainder of their time here? Is that your question?
Okay, but because we're busy people. Like some people are driving trucks, and I'm artist. I'm the painter. I don't have time to stay in the kitchen and cooking. So, what about if I'm totally, completely go to your food and eat more or less nothing else? That's it.
Okay.
Only eat your food for the rest of my life. Can be okay.
Okay. All right. Great question. Okay. So what she's saying is she's asking, um, if a person was to eat nothing but I'm gonna go strict, not even with an apple, okay? If a person were to eat nothing but our shakes and our smart food for the rest of their life, would they have a healthy diet? Would their bodies be healthy? The answer is yes. That's what I just did was like an impossibility. I gave a short answer right up front because I don't ever give short answers. I'm going to therapy with professionals, a team, because one person can't do it, to have me give short answers right away, as long as I give a long answer afterwards. So let me elaborate. The short answer is yes, you can. But not only can you be healthy, but your body will thrive. It will be at its optimum level. Now, the reason I say that is because what you're getting in one of the shakes, do I have one here? When you take one of these shakes, okay, and you take 2 scoops and at least 2 pumps of the oil, and you mix it with, you could add some of the almond milk, make sure it's unsweetened, okay, or cashew milk, or hemp milk, or any other milk except for cow's milk and soy. Not those two, because one, they both have too many sugars, and soy you should never have, especially you women. I'll explain why in another time. But you take just that, it has the equivalent of 32 pounds of dairy and protein and fibers and vitamins and minerals and fruits and every nutrient that you need. Okay? In fact, you could not physically hold 32 pounds of food. Beside the fact that it'll cost over $100 if you bought the nutritional equivalent. If you went to the grocery store and bought all organic food, or even food in a can, for heaven's sakes, it's not as healthy, and you tried to duplicate what you get in one serving, 2 scoops and 2 pumps of the omega oil, it would cost you over $100. Well, you choose. You can get one for $3.47 as a sales rep, or spend $100. Your body will thrive on it. In fact, I personally, to prove that point, I had blood tests done before, and then I was on it for over a year. I ate nothing but the shakes, and oil, and the water. Nothing but. I didn't even have the smart foods. I just had the shakes for over a year. Then I did my blood work. My doctor told me this. He said, in 35 years of practicing medicine, I've never seen what I'm seeing now. He said, when we went to school, they would put up an example and say, what we're showing you is perfect blood. This is where we want the numbers to be. He said, in 35 years, I've never had one of my patients have that perfect blood until today. He said, I had what he was taught in medical school as perfect blood. All the numbers were great. So you can thrive on it. Now, you can feel good about that. However, I don't prescribe that you do that. You don't have to do that. You can perform at optimum level, just having a shake once or twice a day, and then you supplement it with all the foods. In fact, our motto is that there is no food that's on your not to eat list. If you want it intuitively, meaning after you follow the program, you're in phase 4, your body now is communicating with you. We haven't talked as much about the intuitive lessons, but the videos that we're producing will go through them in detail. Great content. You'll learn how to get back to intuitive. Basically, your body will tell you what it needs and when it needs it. So if your body actually says, I need a maple covered donut, and you are intuitively feeling that, then for heaven's sakes, go get the darn thing and eat it. Your body was designed to be able to handle some of the things that aren't not healthy. That's what your liver's for. That's what your kidneys are for. That's what your body's able to handle antioxidants for. That's what your liver's for. It's designed to handle some naughties. So if you want some fried food and you handle it in the moderation, it's okay. Your body can handle that. But I want you to listen to it intuitively. I don't want you to get it because your friend got it. I don't want you to get it because you saw a commercial on TV. I don't want you to get it because sugar is prompting you to eat more of it, which is what it does. So I occasionally will go. Matter of fact, let's see. When did I have... when's my most recent time I had a non-wheel approved food? Let me think. Last Saturday, I had some ice cream. I didn't have very much. I had, probably about 8 bites, tablespoon or, teaspoons full. And that was all I needed. And it was fine. It was great. Not what I used to eat. I used to eat lots, but I was not intuitively eating. So the short answer is, yes, you can, and yes, you will thrive and be healthy. But I want you to be happy. I want you to enjoy all the foods that make you happy. In the beginning, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, I'm asking you to leave some of the foods on somebody else's plate, because that's when I'm correcting your body. But once it's now whole, your pancreas and your liver and your digestive system are operating properly, then for heaven's sakes, enjoy some of those other foods. Great question. Bernie, Merv, I think I am done for the night. It is top of the hour, and I can't imagine anyone over here.
Good call. Super call. Yeah, fantastic.
Very good call, Jason. Thank you.
Jason, you're fantastic, and we really appreciate it. Good job.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, good call.
I appreciate your time. Please bring your friends. Let them listen.
Okay, well.
That we don't really focus on trying to sell the business plan. We will have a night for that.
Jason, by the way, some of our friends, very big network, just passed away in this summer. And when I talk with his wife and I say, how come he passed away? What's wrong with him? He all the time network marketing and buy all kind of nutritional programs and products. Why he passed away? What's wrong? And she says, major heart attack. And she think because he eat a lot of milk, a lot of yogurt, stuff like that. That's what his wife think about, and blocked all arteries. I believe if he's a new company, he probably be alive today.
Well, heart disease is
That's
definitely
probably true.
On our hit list for overcoming. And the studies are on our side. The study said that if you follow a ketogenic diet like ours, that your risk for heart disease will definitely reduce, if not completely be eliminated. So invite your friends. Feel confident that our program is backed by science, supported by clinical studies, and I wish you all the well. God bless all of you. And till next time, I want to tell you, next week I will be expanding my knowledge. I'm going to a conference to learn more, and so I will not be able to be here for next Thursday. So store up your questions, send them in, send in your testimonies, and then the following week I'll have plenty of good content for you.
Okay. Good. God bless, Jason.
God bless you. God bless you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Good call. Thank you. God bless you, everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night. Thank you. That was great.
Yes.
Good night, Dave. Good night, Chef.
Thank you. Good night.